Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today's demo. Create an employee experience that solves the skills gap. I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Tech Elevator. Tech Elevator is an intensive in-person and online reskilling provider helping individuals and companies acquire in-demand technology skills for the modern workforce. Their mission is to elevate people, companies, and communities. I'm Alexandria Kraft, the Senior Content Manager for Learning Technologies and Sciences at ATD, and I will be your moderator today. I know our speaker plans to keep you engaged, so if you would like to interact with him and our fellow participants throughout the session, please be sure to select everyone in our chat box. I see folks are already in there. Hope you're all staying safe today. I know there's lots of storms that are happening on the East Coast. And we will have time for Q&A at the end of the demo, so we'll be saving new or unanswered questions to be addressed then. And now I'm very pleased to introduce today's speaker. Anthony Hughes is the CEO and co-founder of Tech Elevator. And we are looking forward to learning more about how to create an employee experience that's going to help solve that skills gap. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Anthony to take it away for us today.
Alexandra, thank you very much. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to share my screen. And we should be able to see. 2 seconds. Wonderful. Okay, so yes, my title today is Creating an Employee Experience that Solves the Skills Gap. Essentially, what I'm here to do is talk to you about reskilling employees into technology roles. Today's software developers remain amongst the most in-demand workers in the US economy, and there's a major shortage. And as the demand for technology continues to grow, so does the competition for these workers. So what if I could tell you that there's a different way? Instead of buying talent at higher and higher prices, you can build it from within your own organization. And in the process of closing a skills gap, you can drive employee engagement and loyalty. You can find ways to improve diversity, and you can draw critical business insights from around your organization to solve your organization's challenges and create new opportunities. So that's what we do at Tech Elevator. We create the most valuable employee in the US economy, which is a software developer, and we do it in as little as 10 to 14 weeks. So I'm Anthony Hughes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Tech Elevator. I've been in the reskilling business for quite a few years now. And the way that I actually got into this business was because I used to work in economic development. I founded and scaled an entrepreneurial mentoring program in the city of Cleveland, Ohio. Our program was designed to help fledgling startups build and grow, expand, and contribute to the economy. And in the year that we founded Tech Elevator, in 2015, in the city of Cleveland, Ohio, there were 8,000 software developer positions advertised in the preceding 12 months. And of all of the four-year institutions in the region, we produced just 280 computer scientists. So what we had was a major supply-demand mismatch that was causing a white-hot technology market, and companies were really struggling to grow. So that was the problem that I set out to solve when I started Tech Elevator, was that we couldn't help companies grow, and companies were struggling to grow and fulfill their potential if they didn't have access to technology talent. The company I founded is Tech Elevator, and as Alexandria mentioned, our mission is to elevate people, companies, and communities. So we believe, and we have proven, that the cognitive ability to code, the cognitive ability to be a software developer, actually lies evenly in the general population. And if we can find individuals who possess that cognitive ability, equip them with the skills that they need to be competitive and effective in the field, we can turn those individuals into software developers. And in doing so, we can change their lives, and we can support the growth of companies domestically and locally, in turn creating economic vibrancy. So that's what we do. We elevate people, companies, and communities, and we do that for individuals from the general population, as well as for companies seeking to activate their workforce effectively. So Tech Elevator is headquartered in Cleveland, Ohio, but we have offices all around the country. We have 150 employees, and we are teaching both in person at a number of different campuses throughout the Midwest, as well as thousands of individuals online. We have been an Inc. fastest growing company. I think we made the top 10 for fastest growing educational companies. We have placed over 4,000 individuals into technology roles across the country, and we are just shy of 900 companies who have hired our talent, representing over 100 different industries in the economy. So that's a little bit about Tech Elevator. Now let me talk to you about the problem that we're solving. So we are facing a skills gap in the United States, and that skills gap is growing. And according to Deloitte, the cost of that skills gap will be $2.5 trillion, not billion, trillion dollars over the next decade. That is $2.5 trillion in lost productivity. As a nation on a global stage, we are competing to create the industries and the opportunities for what's next. And technology workers are powering so much of that. And as a nation, we produce less computer scientists than China, less computer scientists than India. Perhaps that would be understandable when you consider the size of their populations, but we also produce less computer scientists than Poland. And so we're really not activating our workforce effectively. According to Deloitte, more than 60% of leading executives consider the challenge of hiring software developers is a major threat to their business. Fundamentally, it's about productivity. When asked if they valued access to capital or technology workers, 60% of them stated they prefer access to tech workers, specifically software developers. And it's about a major driver of productivity. But equally, when it comes to tech workers, because of the competition for this talent, it turns out that they are significantly more expensive to hire. 35,000 on average per role versus 4,000. They take longer to fill. These jobs take longer to fill, 34 days on average versus 22 days on average. And these individuals are significantly harder to retain, such as the competition for this talent. They're over twice as hard to retain as your average technology worker. So leaders of companies have challenged their leaders in HR and tech to find alternative talent solutions. And here comes the age-old question of, do we buy or do we build? And the traditional methods of buying are proving to be inefficient and expensive. But non-traditional methods, like building talent, offering opportunities not only to be more efficient, but they're also offering added benefits. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefits of investing within and how that's perceived by your employees. So as we think about solving this skills gap, the build versus buy equation, there are some major benefits that are worth pointing out that meet the needs of your employee base. And in my title here, investing in employees or investing in people is critical. So let's talk about why. The first thing is around employee mobility. So only 1 in 5 employees, according to LinkedIn, see the opportunity for internal mobility within their company. And this is extraordinary because over half of employees actually rank opportunities for promotion as more important than compensation and bonuses. So that's a really interesting stat there. Moreover, over 3/4 of employees are eager to learn new skills on the job. And in large part, that's because about 40% of your employees believe or worry that their jobs will be obsolete within 5 years because of their skills. Over 60% of employees say that upskilling opportunities are important. They're an important reason for them to stay in their job. They engender loyalty and help you retain your employees. And the last point here is around diversity. As an industry, technology has been woeful about achieving diversity. Just 23% of the technology industry is made up by women, African Americans, or Latinx individuals. And in fact, according to, or when it comes to African Americans, less than 5% of the technology workforce are in fact African American. So when you're looking at this, when you look at investing in alternative sourcing methods, you have an opportunity to bring innovation as well as a competitive advantage to your organization, both economically, culturally, from a retention standpoint. Reskilling is a solution that actually impacts multiple areas of the business. It's an opportunity to reduce cost, enable mobility, improve satisfaction and retention, and also critically support diversity in your workforce. So there's a tremendous opportunity when it comes to reskilling. It's not simply an economic case. There's many more residual benefits that come with it. So I'm going to talk specifically about Tech Elevator's approach. Tech Elevator was founded in 2015. As I mentioned before, we've placed over 4,000 individuals into technology roles who had no professional background in software development whatsoever. And we've learned a few things along the way, and we've developed a pretty robust methodology for turning individuals into software developers, for turning incumbent workers into the most valuable employee in the US economy today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that looks like. So the first part of it is making sure that you are investing in upskilling, reskilling, in elevating the right people into these roles. And our philosophy about finding software developers or future software developers is there are really two components to it. The first component is aptitude or cognitive ability, and the second component is attitude, is mindset, and other such things. In order to recognize that raw materials matter when you're making something, or if anyone who's listening today enjoys cooking, you will know that good ingredients are a really important contributor to a good meal. You are limited by how good your meal can be if your ingredients are not great ingredients. And the same thing is true for software development. The cognitive ability, the thought, the mindset, these are really important parts of identifying who's a good fit for investment. One of the ways that we've been able to do that for individuals and for our employment partners is through a cognitive assessment that we developed at Tech Elevator. This is a cognitive assessment that identifies the attributes that align with success in the field of software development. And Tech Elevator has developed a proprietary cognitive assessment in conjunction with some industrial psychologists that allows us to tell with a remarkably high level of predictability whether somebody is going to be successful in our program and by extension successful in the field. We're looking for logic, reasoning, pattern recognition, the ability to follow instructions, problem-solving capabilities. And we have determined with our cognitive assessment, which has been validated now externally by two separate academic institutions, that the cognitive ability to code lies in about 30% of the general population. That is an extraordinary high number or large number of individuals who have the ability to code, when in real terms, only about 1% of the US population are receiving a computer science degree. So we've got a 29% gap, but what that means for our employment partners, what that means for our corporate partners around reskilling is an enormous number of their organizations have this natural ability. They just need our help in identifying which individuals are worthy of that investment. The other component is around attitude, and the beauty of working with our partners is that they have oftentimes have had multiple years of experience working with these individuals, understand their attendance, understand their performance, and we're able to take our cognitive assessment and combine it with their own experience of those employees and identify who is a good fit for the program. So once we've identified who is a good fit for the program, the next important thing is to make sure that they get the right training to be successful. So I want to talk about the next phase, which is the reskilling phase. And in Tech Elevator's case, we're working with companies for as little as 10 weeks or as long as 30 weeks with our part-time program to help them reskill individuals. And so the way that we go about this reskilling is, first and foremost, it's critically important that they have experienced instructors. So Tech Elevator's instructors average 15 years of industry experience. They are able to take their industry knowledge from companies where they've worked prior to Tech Elevator, like Hewlett-Packard, Nike, Intel, IBM, and many other organizations. They're able to take that practical experience they've developed over years and years of honing their craft in the industry, and then use that to translate the highly theoretical lessons of computer science into the practical applications of what it's going to be like in the workforce. We support our students with daily lectures, with exercises that reinforce what they're learning. They'll do individual exercises and pair programming exercises. They'll have quizzes so that we measure comprehension. Our clients and our partners are able to monitor their performance throughout the course of the program. And then we wrap each of our modules. We have 3 modules as we're working through and building what we call full stack developers. Each of the modules are wrapped up with a capstone project where they're working on teams to develop a practical application. And throughout the course of the program, we're using modern development methodologies so that when they arrive, when we ultimately redeploy them as software developers into their technology organization, they come incredibly well prepared and ready to hit the ground running and be code ready, if you will, from day one. And the redeployment process is a really important process to make sure that we're not only equipping these folks with the right technical skills, but we're working with our partners to make sure that they're effectively integrating these individuals into their technology organization. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you guys some examples of what that practically looks like. I'll just take a quick pause and wet my mouth. I'll start by, we have dozens of companies that we work with to do this, but I'll give you guys a couple of examples that I think are illustrative of the kind of work that we do with our partners. I think banking is a fascinating space because technology has had such a massive impact on banking, and KeyBank is a great example of that. When we went into the pandemic, the digitization, the massive move, the technological transformation was enormous. And we very much felt that in the field of banking, which had a heavy dependence on retail outlets, on retail banking, and was shifting slowly into sort of digitization. Well, the pandemic massively accelerated that. And a lot of banks found themselves with excess capacity in their retail operations and significant undercapacity and constricted supply in their technology organizations. So we were able to successfully work with KeyBank to help them start to solve that problem. Now they started, KeyBank initiated their relationship with us in 2018. They started hiring our graduates and very quickly came back and said that these graduates were outperforming, in many cases, the hires that they were making from computer science programs. And so they came to us and they said, we are looking to find a way to increase our supply. We need to find new pipelines of talent, and we're hiring your graduates. So what is it that we can do to help elevate our talent from within with the methodologies that you deploy on these individuals who are performing so well in our organization? The next part is what I was referring to before, which is we want to take a people-first approach. We want to look within our organization for people who are trying to advance, who want to grow in their careers, who have an ambition to contribute at a greater level to the organization, rather than look externally for talent, rather than jettison folks whose skills are maybe not relevant for the next phase of our business. Can we find individuals within who can fill those roles? And then lastly, really focusing on how can we diversify our technology workforce, which as I've said before, is a major problem that many businesses face. Where we are today, the program has evolved from those early days, from our early contact, to a sophisticated and impressive program that they call Tech Ready. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the results of that program so far. So we have reskilled 81 employees for KeyBank into technology roles. Something that I think was really endearing and wonderful to hear was the CIO mentioned to me that this is a program that has become extremely popular. Hundreds of individuals apply for this program on an annual basis. And these individuals increasingly are looking at Key as an employer that rewards and looks internally and elevates talent internally. 40% of the organization's software developers are now female, which is very exciting, especially for a female CIO. 50% of the participants were people of color, and the program has had 100% retention over the 4-year period. 100% retention is truly a staggering number in the field of technology, but is emblematic of the fact that if you're willing to invest in your employees, you will receive incredible loyalty back from them as they continue in their careers. Another example that I'd like to share with you is the Shifting Gears AutoZone Tech Program, which is another wonderful example of being able to transform people's careers and lives and look within. Now, the first, AutoZone, or every company that comes to us, has a different set of problems or a different combination of challenges that they're looking to solve. For AutoZone, especially being heavily dependent on sort of first tier, lower tier, frontline retail workers, were facing significant challenges around employee retention. It's always been a challenge in the field of retail, but particularly during the Great Resignation, where we saw a lot of the wage gains, particularly enter into sort of the lower quartile of the economy. And when a big Amazon warehouse might open up down the road, and a couple dollars more might be the hourly wage opportunity, they would see wholesale losses of talent. And so they looked to Tech Elevator to help them develop a program that would support employee retention. As I mentioned before, when employees believe that there are opportunities to grow and advance, it's oftentimes more important than compensation. The next thing they wanted to do was make sure or change the perception that AutoZone is just a place you go and you get a job and an hourly wage, and then you get a better hourly wage somewhere else and you leave, and change the perception that AutoZone could be the kind of place where you could develop a career, and to put their money where their mouth is and to demonstrate that that was possible. By elevating loyal employees with tenure, individuals who had been around, they could make a good example of that. The last part, which is such a critical component, is recognizing that there is so much intelligence and knowledge and understanding that happens on the front line of one's business, that being able to access and recruit from the front lines can actually enhance the competition, competitiveness, and the understanding. So who better to build the products that interact with your customers in a digital world or support your efficiencies than the folks who have actually interacted with those customers in a physical world or use those tools? And so those were the real sort of key things that AutoZone was looking for. We've seen so far 100% graduation rate with this program. 47% of the cohort was underrepresented. 100% of those graduates have been retained by the organization, and they were able to retain over 150 years of collective institutional knowledge that was going to go out the door if they weren't able to elevate those individuals. So those are two good examples. As I mentioned before, nearly 900 companies have sourced talent from Tech Elevator, have trained employees from Tech Elevator, and as I mentioned before, they represent over 100 different industries. All of these companies that you're seeing here have Tech Elevator graduates working in their technology organizations. All of these companies here have benefited from an alternative source of talent, an increased source of diversity, diversity, not just gender or ethnicity, but diversity in thought, and individuals who can understand the challenges that these businesses face, having experienced them as employees in other parts of their business as well. I'm going to wrap up real quick just to make sure that folks understand how they can engage with Tech Elevator. We engage with our employees, with our partners, hiring partners and employment partners in different ways. The first way is through sponsored seats. Sometimes these reskilling initiatives can just be too big to chew, too much of a bite to take. And oftentimes it becomes something that just constantly gets pushed. It's too significant an investment, too much to think through. Well, most times we engage with our employers, they'll send us 1 or 2 employees. Hey, there's somebody in this department that's shown promise and has done some self-teaching. I've got somebody here who's looking to, who might leave if they don't have an opportunity for career advancement. What companies will do is they will send us anywhere between 1 and 5 of their employees, and they will sit in our classes side by side with our students as sponsored seats. And that's a great way to engage, and it's a low barrier of entry for those companies. The next way that those companies will engage with us is around what we call dedicated deliveries, where they'll send an entire cohort of employees through. Anywhere from 12 to, in some cases, 30 employees will come through, and we're doing those nationally as well as internationally for some of our biggest partners. And the last way is that we can teach companies to develop these capabilities internally if they're looking to reskill, 25 plus, even up to 100 in some cases. We have one client that reskills 400 a year. We can help you by licensing our learning management system and teaching you how to train employees, how to identify employees, and how to turn them into software developers. My last slide here is really talking about how we can support companies. If you're somebody who's struggling to find technology talent, if you're somebody who's struggling to think about how to elevate talent, Tech Elevator is both a provider of talent. We graduate more junior software developers than all of the universities in the state of Ohio combined. And we produce a lot of talent, and we would love to introduce that talent to you. No charge. The next way we can help you build your pipeline by investing within. For companies that are looking to engage with their communities to help source individuals externally. We've worked with companies like Niantic, who have been very much invested in how to create pipelines for individuals from communities into their organizations, and we're able to help support that element. And then lastly, for companies and individuals looking to activate their DEI programs, we've been a powerful catalyst in those areas as well. So it's been delightful sharing my passion, Tech Elevator, with all of you. There's a QR code on the screen here. And I would welcome anybody who has any questions to reach out to us. But we're always interested in meeting people who are exploring, reskilling, and elevating talent from within. Happy to share our experiences, help inform your thinking, and would love to meet you. So that concludes it from me.
Thank you so much, Anthony. We probably have time for one question. Do you have any studies on folks that are degreed versus non-degreed performance in tech roles?
It's a great question. I think there's a couple things there. So what we have found is that the cognitive ability of individuals with and without degrees is identical. Oftentimes degrees are really more of a reflection of the opportunities and the privilege you've had growing up. And in terms of on-the-job performance, we actually find it to be identical as well. What we've even been able to do is one of our major partners did a study and measured their computer science graduates' performance against Tech Elevator graduates' performance. And they found on average, they were promoting their Tech Elevator graduates 4 months faster than individuals who were coming straight out of computer science programs. So we were very excited about that. Smarts comes from all around. You've got people within your workforce today who have the opportunity to really contribute in meaningful ways. Don't let the college degree be the indicator of somebody's job performance. Think creatively and understand that skills can be learned, and skills are what drives job performance.
Awesome. And are there prerequisites that you recommend for Tech Elevator's reskilling programs? Is it different based on those different types of options, the sponsored seats versus cohorts, et cetera?
No prerequisites. I mean, we're happy to work with our partners and say, I mean, from a size standpoint, we can support you if you have one employee that you'd like to reskill, all the way up to 100 and beyond. The prerequisites, are things that we've developed over time and are just really designed to make sure that as you invest money in reskilling, your money has the highest probability of generating returns. And that's really the aptitude assessment that we've developed and had validated as a great way to determine who and where to make those investments.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like it'll definitely resonate, since we in the ATD community always have a range of different size organizations. We are running out of time. It is at the half-hour mark. So I know that you had your contact information up there if folks want to get in touch with you or the Tech Elevator team. Thank you so much for sharing all of this today with us, Anthony. And a huge thank you to Tech Elevator for being our sponsor for this afternoon. Thank you to all of our attendees for joining us. We hope to see you at future webinars and demos. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
This concludes today's webinar. We thank you all for attending. The recording will be available at webcast.td.org. We will send our registrants an email tomorrow with that link. Please be sure to visit our event calendar to sign up for future webinars at webcast.td.org/events. Goodbye.